What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are taking a first look at one of the latest budget-friendly devices from Xiaomi called the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9. And of course, like most phones from the Redmi line, this offers amazing value for its price. And with that being said, let me turn the camera around, I'll quickly show you what comes in the box with the phone and then I'll tell you all about the phone. Alright, so first things first, the box. The box looks very similar to what we've seen this year from the Redmi line. So basically on the front of the box we see a picture of the device and on one side you can see some of the specifications. I have the cheapest version of this device, so the one that has 3 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage. Inside the box you're gonna find the phone, obviously. The phone is wrapped in plastic and on the front of that plastic you can see some of the specs for the device. You're also going to find the user manual, something that nobody will ever read. We have the power adapter and the USB-C cable, and depending where you buy this phone you may get a European charger or a North American charger, of course. And aside from that, you're also going to find a silicone case. The case is kind of dark grayish looking, but it's definitely nice to see a case considering how affordable this phone is. So that's about it for the box itself and what comes with the phone. And we're moving on to the phone itself, and like most phones from the Redmi line, this doesn't look cheap or feel cheap by any means. So we have glass on the front and glass on the back, and this is what we get with a lot of flagships. Well, except for the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, with that one we get plastic, but this one seems to have glass here. So on the back there we also have a physical fingerprint scanner, and personally I am a big fan of those physical fingerprint scanners. And we also have 4 cameras, so the main lens, an ultra-wide lens, a macro lens, and another lens that's used for portrait mode pictures. The frame here, even though it kind of feels like plastic, I highly believe that it's metal, but I can't really confirm and I don't want to scratch the phone to find out. So yes, it does seem like it's made out of metal. So on the right hand side we have the power button and the volume keys. At the top we have a hole for a microphone and the IR blaster. So this phone can be used as a remote control, so you can control your TV with it if you want. And on the other side we have the slot for the SIM card, and this device can take 2 SIM cards and an SD card at the same time, which is definitely a nice thing. And all the way at the bottom we have a 3.5mm audio jack, so if you want to plug in some headphones you can. We have the hole for the microphone, we have the USB-C charging port and the holes for the speaker. Unfortunately this phone has only one speaker, so with a lot of other phones we've seen a speaker at the bottom and one on the front. Well, with this one we only have one speaker, but at least the speaker does sound pretty decent. And I guess this is a quick example so you can hear how the speaker sounds. And that brings us to the screen. So this is a 6.53 inches IPS panel that has a 1080p resolution. As you can probably see here, we have very slim bezels all around the screen. The colors are super vibrant, the viewing angles are really good, and the screen does get bright enough so the phone can be used outdoors. Not to mention that the screen is actually covered by Gorilla Glass 5. So it shouldn't be that easy to scratch. But again, it really depends how you use the phone. If you have the keys in the same pocket, the screen will probably get scratched anyways. So the Redmi Note 9 is powered by the MediaTek Helio G85 that's paired with 3 gigs of RAM in my case, but you can also get this phone with 4 gigs of RAM. Now 3 gigs of RAM is more than enough for most tasks, but if you want to make your phone more future-proof, I highly recommend trying to get a version that comes with 4 gigs of RAM. And on the Antutu Benchmark we get a score of about 190,000. Now this may not be the highest score out there, but we have to keep in mind the price of the device, and when you get a score like this you kind of know that the phone will do good for pretty much everything. Of course it's not gonna do as good as a flagship, but it will do good for most applications and most tasks that you're gonna be doing with it. Now, just in case you're wondering, you can also get those navigation buttons at the bottom here. So if you don't like the gestures, I personally like gestures, but if you don't like the gestures, you can change this and get those navigation buttons. So the gestures work like this. And it kind of brings all the phones together because it works the same on iPhones and stuff. So that's why I switched to gestures, because it's just easier for me to switch from one phone to the other. Out of the box, the phone comes pre-installed with pretty much all the Google apps, and I also have the global version of this device. So if you get the Chinese version, you're not gonna get any Google services, but if you do get the global version like myself, you should have all the Google apps pre-installed. And then we do get some other apps that are installed, but you can easily uninstall most of them. So if you don't want all the garbage apps that come pre-installed, you can just uninstall them, but you do get all your Google apps right out of the box. One thing I want to mention is the fact that this phone doesn't have NFC, so even though you are seeing the Google Pay app right here, if you go to settings, there is no NFC anywhere. Now, this phone is running MIUI 11.05, and this is basically based on Android 10, and that's great, and hopefully this will get MIUI 12 in the near future. But yes, if you're hoping to make payments with this phone, you're not gonna be able to. Next, I want to show you quickly how the fingerprint scanner on the back works. So all you have to do is touch it, and it takes about half a second for the screen to come on. Maybe not the fastest phone that I have ever seen, but definitely usable. So this does work pretty good. Alright, next the camera app. So this is the same camera app that we've seen in the past from other Xiaomi devices. And of course we have an AI mode in there, we have the main lens, as I said, we have an ultra-wide lens, a macro lens, and there is even a night mode in there. Now, I didn't take any night pictures, I just got the phone yesterday, but I will include a bunch of nighttime pictures in the full review in a few days after I get a chance to use this phone more. But these are some pictures that I took basically around the house here, in front of the house, in the back of the house, and the pictures do look decent enough for a phone for this price basically. Now, they're not mind-blowing, nothing mind-blowing, but once again, for the price I think they do look okay. And all the pictures that you're seeing here are taken on auto mode with the AI turned on. The phone can also record videos, but the maximum recording resolution, at least if you're using the Xiaomi camera app, is 1080p, but at least we do have image stabilization at that resolution, and the image stabilization does seem to work really good. And this is a quick example of a 1080p video that I filmed just in front of the house here yesterday. This is a sample recording with the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9. So the maximum recording resolution for this device is 1080p, but it seems that we have image stabilization at that resolution. So I'm walking right now, and there doesn't seem to be any movement or shakiness in the video. So we'll pan right slowly and back left. So yeah, this is how recording in 1080p at 30 frames per second from this device would look like on a super sunny day. Of course, I tried the GPS unit inside it as well, and this works great. It only takes half a second for it to find your locations, so you're not gonna have any issues using Google Maps or Waze or anything like that. As for sensors, we have all the sensors that you'd expect from a flagship, even though this is not a flagship. Now, next, I want to show you how quickly the phone opens apps. So let me place the phone down here. I'll change the focus on the camera, and then I'll show you how long it takes the phone to open certain apps. Alright, so first I'm going to show you that I don't have any apps running in the background, and now we'll start opening a bunch of apps. This is Chrome. It's basically going to load the last website that I had open. We'll go here, actually let's just open another article here, we'll leave this one running in the background, we'll open the Google Play Store, so a couple of seconds and this opens, pretty decent for a budget device. We'll open Google Photos, so it takes a bit to start loading pictures, but once the pictures are loaded it does scroll pretty decent up and down. The Facebook app, I mean the YouTube app, so as you can see, after it loads, it does scroll up and down pretty decent. Next, we have the Facebook app. This one takes a bit longer, I noticed, to start. And once again, it's gonna take a few seconds for it to load. But once it loads, there are no issues. So leave that one running in the background. We have Snapseed. Here we'll open a random picture. So let's select this one. We have Netflix. I'm not signed in to my Netflix account, so keep that in mind. And we'll leave that as well. We'll open the GPS test again. And now let's see what happened to all those apps that we have running in the background. So we'll start with Chrome. So this one had to reload, so that 3 gigs of RAM cannot keep that many apps running in the background. So some apps may actually have to reload. Let's go back to multitasking. All right, the Play Store. So the Play Store had to reload as well. Let's go back here to Google Photos. So this one had to reload. So you can only keep a certain number of apps running in the background. If you have 2 or 3 apps, it should be okay, but more than that, apps will start reloading once you open them again. So keep that in mind. So this is the Xiaomi Redmi Note 9, a very affordable phone, a phone that looks great. With that 5020 mAh battery, you should be able to get, I don't know, about 10 hours of screen on time. But again, I'm gonna cover all that in the full review in a few days. So yeah, this is the Redmi Note 9. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Hopefully you did like the video. Don't forget to press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.